Uh, Good afternoon. I'm calling to order the meeting of the Anastasia Mosquito Control District of St. Johns County on Thursday, December 12th, 2024. Not on. Can you hear me? Is that better?
No, speak into the microphone, please.
Okay. Has he turned it up?
It's,
That's it. That's
Okay.
it, okay. So, call to order the meeting of the Anastasia Mosquito Control District of St. Johns County on Thursday, December 12th, 2024. Commissioner Brandhurst, do you want to do the invocation?
Yes. This is a Christmas blessing. God grant you the light of Christmas, which is faith, the warmth of Christmas, which is purity, the righteousness of Christmas, which is justice, the belief in Christmas, which is truth, and all of Christmas, which is Christ. Amen. Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, before we move to the roll call, I just want to make a friendly reminder, if you have your phones, if you can put them on silent, please. Also, if you're a guest, if you're going to make public comments, the cards are at the dais up there, so to fill them out. So with that, I'm going to do a roll call. Commissioner LeBlanc, present.
Commissioner Brandhurst, present. I'm going to call Commissioner Gardner so she can attend.
She can't attend. She's already submitted a notice that she cannot attend. She's at a funeral. Commissioner Gleason, present.
Commissioner Becker, present. We'll have to vote to excuse the absence.
All in favor of excusing Commissioner Gardner from the meeting? I first. Commissioner Gardner is excused from the meeting. Okay, any citizen participation for non-agenda items? Okay, saying none, I'm going to move on to approval of the agenda. Any additions, corrections, or deletions?
Yes, I'd like to add an item to the agenda. I wrote a letter to the Commission on Ethics, and I'd like to read that. And we have a tape from the November meeting that I'd like to play. And I'd like to add this report on disbarred attorney Edward A. Slavin that seems to have so much to say at our meetings.
So you want to have new business number 4? You want to add new business number 4 to the agenda?
Yeah.
And what are the two, before the Slavin comment, what are the two, the Commission on Ethics and...
The letter I wrote to the Commission on Ethics.
Can you say what the
Number
topic
3.
is?
Yes, it's violation of the Sunshine Law.
Okay. But do you know how long this is going to take?
Not very long.
Okay.
So we need a
Find it
motion.
here.
Do we have a motion?
Okay, so I'll make a motion to add Commissioner Brandhurst's presentation as new business number 3.
I don't know if I can find it here. I can basically tell you what the gist of it is.
Well, you
No,
can tell us when it
Is there a second?
Can't find my
second it.
copy.
All in favor? All opposed? So it passed 3-1. You have that?
Yep.
Alrighty. Was Mr. Slavin made aware that you were,
Yes, he was.
okay. So he knew that you were going to make this over here?
Pardon me?
He knew you were presenting this?
Yeah.
Because I think it would be fair for him to be present.
Well, he should have been.
Okay. I don't have
What's
does
his?
anybody have a copy that he was made aware?
Pardon me?
I'm going to ask Ms. Myers. Ms. Myers, I have a question for you on that. I mean, we're talking about a private citizen.
until you get to that item and I understand what the nature of the proposition is.
So you haven't
There's
seen-
nothing for me to wait
You
for.
haven't seen anything? Okay. All right.
We still need an approval of the agenda.
Okay, so now we're on the consent agenda.
No,
And-
we're
and I
still on
need
the
to-
agenda.
I needed to make a motion on the agenda before Commissioner Brandhurst. Given that we're discussing the attorneys and the HR firm, and given the situations that we've had in the last month with bonuses and concerns over that, I would like to move the bonus discussion up to item number 1, because it may have implications on the discussion about the attorneys and the HR firm. It's just a movement, it's not an add. So move 3 to 1, and then leave everything else as is. Can I make a motion to move item number 3 in unfinished business to number 1?
Okay. And I also have something to add, so do we need to make 2 motions?
I
2
think-
separate motions?
Yeah, I think, yes, 2 separate motions. Is there a second?
Okay, so I'll second to switch number 3 to number 1 on unfinished business.
All in favor? All opposed? Ms. Commissioner Brandhurst opposed. Okay, what is your motion?
Okay, so for the consent agenda, I'd like to add on there last month for our minutes. Last month, I stated during the meeting that Mr. Weaver wrote an apology letter to Commissioner Gleason. I was wrong, and it was a different employee who told me that they did. And I appreciate Commissioner Gleason bringing it to our attention, and I'd like the record to reflect that, to make sure, because I don't want it to be wrong. So, to reflect the update, and I apologize for this mistake.
Apology accepted. All righty. Okay, so I think we.
And that's for the minutes.
That's for the
From
minutes.
last month.
Okay, for the minutes. Because it was in the consent agenda. We hadn't gotten to the consent agenda, though. So we okay with the
We're-
agenda?
So we're still on the agenda. So
Yeah.
there's been 2 motions on the floor so far. One was to add an item to the agenda by Commissioner Brandhurst, and that was approved.
Yeah.
That's going to be a new item. And then the second motion was by Commissioner Gleason to move number 3 to number 1.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, with that,
So now we need to approve the agenda.
Playing of the assessment from last month's meeting.
yeah, that was, I think, in your motion. Was it in
Okay.
that
So
motion?
Commissioner Brandhurst, did you have 2 separate items or 1 item?
2.
Okay, so we voted on one of
One.
those.
Yes. I don't know how long these segments are.
It's
So
about 3 minutes.
has Rick queued it up?
Rick, has the video been queued?
Okay, we'll add it, but just be cognizant. I don't know how long this thing
Yes.
is.
I mean, do we just want to make it as one thing, just like her presentation, and leave it at that? Or do you want the presentation to be broken up into 2 separate things?
Are they all part of one item?
Pardon me.
Is the video and
The
the,
video's the segment from last month.
but is it all part of the same topic?
No.
It's separate topics?
Separate.
Okay.
So could we clarify
Video's
the motions?
sunshine law violation.
So what's,
Okay, so number 3, under new business, Commissioner Brandhurst will talk about the sunshine law. And then number 4, Commissioner Brandhurst will talk about
You still need to make a motion for
the
that.
other presentation.
okay, do we have a motion to allow Commissioner Brandhurst to present the video, which none of us know what it is about, but do we have a motion on the floor to allow Commissioner Brandhurst to show the video?
I'll make a motion. I'll
Second? All in favor? It's unanimous.
Okay, so now do we need to add number 4 to the agenda?
I think that she just,
That was just number
That was
4 that
number
they
four.
added.
Okay.
So we have number 3 done and number 4 done for
Okay.
that. Okay.
Is that all for the agenda? Any more changes? All in favor of approval of the agenda, say aye. All righty. So now we're going to go to the consent agenda.
So shall I repeat my, okay. So on the consent agenda, I'd like to add for the minutes last month that I misspoke. I stated during the meeting that Mr. Weaver wrote an apology letter to Commissioner Gleason. I was wrong. It was another employee who told me that they did. I appreciate Commissioner Gleason bringing it to our attention, and I'd like the record to reflect the update, and I apologize for misspeaking.
And I accept it.
And then we just want to add
Yeah.
that to the minutes, and then that's it. So if
Thank
somebody
you.
wants to make a motion on that.
Okay, I make a motion to approve the minutes with the addition of Commissioner Becker's,
The minutes or the entire
Oh.
consent agenda? It's
the
a-
entire consent. Do we have to approve the changes to the minutes, though?
The cleanest way is to remove the minutes from the consent agenda
Agenda.
if you're going to discuss the middle.
Okay.
As is, you can make a motion to approve the consent agenda
With the addition.
with that noted on the record.
Okay. I move that we approve the consent agenda with the additions to the minutes from Commissioner Becker.
Second.
Is there a second?
I'm sorry, can you restate that one more time?
I move that we approve the consent agenda with the addition of the apology to the minutes that Commissioner Becker presented. Is there a second?
Second.
I don't know who was first. Ms. Brandhurst seconded. Do we have, all in favor? It's unanimous. Alrighty. So on to new unfinished business. We moved number 3 to number 1, and that's the commissioner bonuses. Ms. Myers is going to give us an overview, and then I'll have some comments afterward.
So I have provided a memo in your board packet that indicated I don't believe any new legislative action is necessary for this board to take. There was a question presented as to the remedy, and I provided a memo regarding the two courses that the Attorney General has illustrated through a formal opinion and an informal opinion. That spectrum goes from do nothing and presume the validity of the prior year's actions to repayment. My conclusion was to presume the validity of the prior actions, again, so that no further action is necessary from this board at this time. I have reached out to the Attorney General to ask them to reconcile those two approaches because they were given within a matter of months of each other. I have not heard back from the Attorney General, but I do intend to keep nudging them to try and bring that open loop to a close. And I will report that back to you once I know more. But I have nothing further to report than that.
I do have some comments. I just want to lay the facts as they are, as I know them out. I was absent from this board meeting last month due to illness, and subsequent to the board meeting, I had a constituent, Ed Slavin, Mr. Ed Slavin, reach out and said, I believe you illegally voted on a pay raise for the board with that $1,000 bonus. I sent an email to Ms. Myers after the fact, asking her to clarify. I had found, in that email, I attached an opinion from Collier County Mosquito Control, where they basically intimated that we could not exceed the $4,800 pay cap that the legislature had established, and that we had no authority as a board to give ourselves a bonus. In this case, it would constitute exceeding that $4,800 pay cap. Subsequent to that, Ms. Myers, I guess you verified that the $4,800 was indeed a cap, and that we did not have that authority as a board to vote ourselves a bonus.
No, that's my opinion. I
Yeah, that's
didn't
your-
confirm
yeah.
that with any
And now
higher
we-
authority.
Yeah, based on what the legal research. Because of that, I have already made it very clear that I personally, whether or not the ruling is that we have to do a repayment, that I personally will repay the $1,000 back to the district. I don't believe, I personally, if it's illegal, if it's not allowed in 2024, it was not allowed in 2023. And I believe we probably got personally bad legal advice. That's why I wanted to put it forward, because I think our attorneys, whoever we end up selecting, need to pay attention to what we put on our agendas to make sure that they're legal. Um, So that's my personal opinion. Since then, there are other issues that have come up that potentially present issues for this board because we have, beyond bonuses, we have been paying out other things that may have put us in jeopardy in terms of violating statute. So Ms. Myers has been made aware of that, and that's part of the reason we're seeking an AG opinion as well, because I don't know how far back or how much the liability is for this board. I also want to have full disclosure here. I have spoken to the press as a commissioner, not as a member of this board. I have not spoken on behalf of the board. That is not my role. I'm the vice chair, not the chair, and I know the rules very well. But when constituents feel like government is not representing them well, or the government is misusing the taxpayer dollars, I'm not going to remain silent. That was my comments. Anybody else have comments before I open it up for public comment? Commissioner Becker.
I guess I would start off by saying, why were we allowed to do it last month?
So from my perspective, in listening to the conversation of the board, I understood that this was something that in some format had been presented to you since 1981. And so whatever my reservations were, I gathered from that statement that you felt you had been authorized by prior counsel to move forward in this manner. And so I kept my mouth shut.
I've been under the assumption that we have been getting bonuses because it is part of a separate thing and that it's not part of our yearly payment. So that's what I was under the assumption. I don't know if everyone else is. I just don't understand how we've been doing something since 1981 that's wrong.
I will say there is statutory authority for extra compensation to board members of independent special taxing districts. Those special taxing districts are called out by name, and
well, on the section 388, it has the otherwise been authorized by special act or general act of local application. Is that what maybe I don't know who was here before Mr. Flowers.
So there is a statute of general application that authorizes additional compensation to board members of independent special taxing districts. I took the conservative approach that it didn't apply to Anastasia mosquito control because you were not named as one of the special taxing districts in that statute. But I can see where a less conservative attorney might not have made that conclusion and decided in reading that statute that independent taxing authorities could do this, and so could you. It's plausible. I don't know if that is in fact what happened and that if that was in fact the opinion of a prior attorney. I do not know.
And I did check, and you don't have a formal opinion from anybody. There is nothing in writing.
Well, then maybe we shouldn't jump to the conclusion that we're doing something bad.
Hence why we're getting, look, the opinion
Everyone's
from the-
asking me if we're going to jail
No,
because of the news
well,
segment,
you know,
and I think it's...
All I know is that the Collier County, for me, was fairly
Wasn't that
direct
about
in what our
working at
APAP
two
was.
special districts?
But there's another issue. We were issued 1099s for that bonus. We were treated as independent contractors for that bonus versus employees. So we both got a W-2, which says that we're employees, and the other one, on the bonus, they issued a 1099, and they called it 2023 holiday supplies, not a bonus. So when you issue a 1099, you're saying that I'm an independent contractor, and at the same time, you're issuing me a W-2 as an employee. Those two cannot be true at the same time. From an accounting perspective, from an IRS perspective, cannot be the same. I've consulted with my accountant and my attorney, and that's why I referred it to this. I referred it to the state attorney general because I could not get an answer from this district as to the propriety of that payment, where it treats us both as an employee and then for bonus purposes, for some reason, it treats us as an independent contractor when the bonuses that were paid to employees were treated as W-2 compensation. So there's a lot more issues here, and we need a ruling, and I'm sure that this board did not know that they may have been intentionally violating any statute. And I honestly feel bad that we were not represented properly or, by legal counsel. Because otherwise, somebody should have piped up and said, I'm out, or given us a legal opinion. As to Ms. Myers saying that we've been doing this since 1981, I have to correct the record because I've gone back. In 2023 and 2024, it is the first time that this board has ever voted for a $1,000 bonus. The years before that, it was $150, $100, and before that, it was $25. I have been asking how we went from $150 to $1,000. Who put that on? Who suggested to the administration that that was appropriate? And I cannot get an answer. So I don't know where the truth lies of who did what, but I'm telling you that going from 150 to 1,000 was inappropriate. And when we
The
say
problem
19,
is that we don't have the commissioners separate.
Yes.
So we wanted to
approved
give
the board.
the
Exactly, that's what I
employees
said.
the $1,000,
Yeah.
but we also are a part of that.
yeah, and mistakenly, I even said, I apologize to the taxpayers of this district because in hindsight, being 2020 like it always is, I should have asked as a new board member, could we separate the motions into employees and commissioners as opposed to having one motion. And last year, I was arguing for the staff because they are deserving of a higher bonus, and somehow that turned into everybody getting more money. And this year, apparently, after I heard the board video, Ms. LeBlanc's recommendation of upping the $200 from $800 to $200 turned into everybody getting $1,000, including commissioners. That's inappropriate. Anybody else have a comment before I open it up for public comment? Okay, is there any public comment on this topic? Mr. Slavin?
I'm sorry I'm late.
Everybody's traffic.
One time I was in law school, my corporations professor walks in and he says to the class, I'm sorry I'm late. I was arguing with Mr. Slavin about corporate homicide. I'm sorry I'm late. I agree with Commissioner Gleason. I am totally appalled by the manner in which this board is run. It is inefficient. It is lacking in transparency. It is lacking in respect for the public. I have had a communication today with a staff member who insulted me over this same issue, didn't want to answer questions. It's on the blog, edslavin.com. By the way, for the record, my name's Ed Slavin, box 3084, edslavin.com. Been attending mosquito control meetings since 2006, and two of your former commissioners were rather heroic, I would say, Commissioner Moeller and Commissioner Sunderman, in stopping a $1.8 million illegal, no-bid helicopter contract that the staff said was sole source. The same staff person who said that was a sole source contract was wrong. That's the same person who was responsible for our only having 2 applicants for the attorney position. He's still here, your business manager. We need a forensic audit. We need a legal audit. We need increasing public participation. I can't believe that we would ask for attorneys to respond to a request for proposals for legal services and not have a proper display ad in the Florida Bar Journal, not tell people from all over the state of Florida what the Mosquito Control Board is about, because this is a public health agency. But I totally agree with Commissioner Gleason. The manner in which these bonuses were doled out, I understand 18,000 or more to commissioners over several years.
I want to correct that. It was 18,000 between bonuses and potentially overpayments for cost of living increases and potentially education reimbursement.
Yeah, that doggone hunt. That's not what we're about, and that's not legal. And y'all swear an oath, same oath I swore as an employee of 3 United States senators and 2 federal administrative law judges. The same oath my father swore as an 82nd Airborne Division paratrooper to support, protect, and defend the Constitution and laws. And this board has a lot to do to restore its reputation with the people of St. Johns County between the bonuses and the attorney hiring and 36% cost overruns. We can do better. It's unacceptable. Do I have any time left?
You have 12 seconds.
Any questions for me?
No.
Good.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Any other comments? Just let us know your name and address, please.
I'm Doris Taylor, 208 Lobelia Road, St. Augustine. Good evening. I find this issue disturbing, and it leads me to wonder what else would we find if we did a full forensic audit. I'd like to see specific, I'd like to know how we can go about having that happen. And I specifically also want to take a look at travel expenses. But yeah, I'd like to see a full forensic audit. I'd like to know how I can get a look at those numbers, how any citizen of St. Johns County can see this or be a part of it. Thank you.
Any other public comment? Okay. So I have two motions. I want to do the first one is, my first motion is that based on the fact that it appears the commissioners did not have the authority to award themselves a bonus or to exceed the 4,800 statutory pay cap, I move that the November board vote to award commissioners a $1,000 bonus be officially rescinded, and hereby also direct the staff to update our bonus policy to exclude commissioners from future bonus resolutions. Do I have a second?
I have a comment.
Can you repeat the motion?
Okay, the motion is based on the fact that commissioners that appear to not have the authority to award themselves a bonus or to exceed the $4,800 statutory pay cap set by the state of Florida, I move that the November board vote to award commissioners a $1,000 bonus be officially rescinded and direct the staff to update the bonus policy to exclude commissioners from future bonus resolutions. Comments?
And my comment is, I feel like we should wait until we get, I don't think no bonus should be given out for any commissioners now anyways, but I think we should wait until we hear back from the Attorney General, because we don't know what they're going to say yet. And then we can make that. If they say no, then we can make that motion.
But I think, did you ask for an opinion on both parts of your opinion, Ms. Myers? Or
Only on-
just the repayment?
Just the remedy.
Just the remedy. So she's basically telling us that the payout is this what you guys voted on last, correct? Please correct me, on November was you had no authority to do that. So that's the
But
done deal.
But I also gave the opinion that because you had no authority, it had no force and effect, and there's no further action that needs to be done.
Okay, so you said that we didn't have to take any motions on it.
That's correct.
Okay, so she's basically saying,
So then we don't need
We don't need a motion.
we don't need the motion, but if you want to memorize it, and at least let constituents know that we found our error of our ways and we will not do this again, then that's the only reason I'm offering up the motion.
I would like to get an actual
But she
answer,
said-
so
but-
she said that, but then how many other lawyers said it was fine, so we have, I just want to be sure.
Yes,
I
Ms.
spoke
Brandhurst?
with Chris Lyons with Lewis Longman and Walker, who actually lobbies the legislature on our behalf, and he said it was considered usual and customary.
No, it is not, Ms. Brandhurst. I'm
That's
sorry.
what
I
I
don't know
said.
how you described it, but it is not. Anybody else have a comment? Okay, so do I have a second or not? Okay, let the records show that this board decided that against attorney advice, they're not going to apologize or rescind their vote from November.
Until we have the
No,
clear thing.
she just told you she did not have asked for an opinion on the first part. She only asked for an opinion on the
She
remedy.
can ask another opinion.
Can you get a, okay, we go. Ms. Myers?
Well, and then if it comes back different, then we have to do this all over.
Is this-
I don't want to
is-
do
can I
economic.
ask a
We're
question?
due to lack of a
And,
second.
and there doesn't need to be motion, is what Mrs. Meyer said. There doesn't
With
need
regard
be
to
any
the
motion,
authority
so
and
there's
recension,
nothing.
I'm
there's no
asking-
motion needed.
One at a time. I'm taking notes.
Yeah. So, Mr. Chu, you are directed not to cut any bonus checks. That's what her email read. And therefore, we don't need to take a motion, a vote on this. Is
But
that
I-
correct?
But that is correct, but I would like to ask if it is the pleasure of this entire board that, or a majority of this board, that I request an opinion from the Attorney General on the authority piece. Please advise and make a motion on that so that I can send that request to the Attorney General.
I'll make a
I'll
motion.
make- yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
I'll
I mean,
second it.
we need to figure it out. We need the highest person to tell us yes or no. That way, no one has 5 years from now that someone goes, just let's get it done. So I make a motion to allow our lawyer to ask the Attorney General for a complete clarification, and then we can be done.
I'll second it. All in favor? Unanimous. Okay, I have a second motion. Given that our bonuses last year were reported as an expense and we were issued 1099s, which is inappropriate handling of a bonus that whose employees, by the way, the AMCD employees were issued, that was treated as compensation for AMCD. Unless you guys gave the district an invoice that said $1,000, they treated it as such. So my motion is that I am requesting a full forensic audit of the district to make sure that we are in compliance with state law and accounting procedures, including IRS, because my accountant just said I'm in violation of IRS rules right now. So, do I have a second?
Is this separate than
Yes.
a regular audit?
Yes, it is. It is going to be conducted by a third party, not our,
The same
Current.
like the third
No.
party that
an
the state
independent,
did?
and an independent auditor besides our current auditor, who didn't catch this. So I am requesting.
So what's the forensic?
A forensic audit is a full audit of all our books to make sure that in compliance with state law and policy. That is a full audit.
So that sounds like we need to make an RFP.
Right now, I'm asking the motion for the board to approve a forensic audit. We can then approve the RFP, to issue an RFP to select an auditor.
How
This
much-
is not very difficult.
Is there
It's
a
not a
motion
money
and a
issue.
second?
Excuse me,
Is there
can
a
I make,
motion?
I'm making the motion I am requesting the board to approve a full forensic audit of the district, given in light of the fact that it looks like our financials have been misreported to the federal government and to the state.
So it sounds like we need a special person to come.
Yeah, a forensic auditor. It's a very different auditor. Exactly.
So maybe we should have a presentation about it from you, so the other board members can know what it's about?
Okay, my motion stands. If we want to do an education on what a forensic audit is, maybe we should all do a little Googling on what it is. But I am right now very concerned that we are not following proper procedures in how we account financially, right now at minimum, for how we compensate commissioners. I don't know what else we're not doing properly. So, again, you can not second it, that's fine with me, but I will continue to make this motion every single month from now on. So, I request the board to approve a forensic audit of the Anastasia Mosquito Control District. Do I have a second? Apparently not. So, next month I will be back with another motion for the same thing, and apparently this board does not care to understand what's going on financially in the district.
That's your
That's not
opinion.
true.
and
Yes,
that's
well,
not true.
it's my opinion.
We have a state audit,
Yeah.
a person
No.
that does the
Oh,
audit.
please,
We
you have a
had
state
Ballmer
audit
do the
with an
audit.
auditor that's been with us for 14 years and didn't even understand that we had no contracts for the museum. So, don't, so anyway, with that, the vote, no second on that one, so, very telling. Okay, so where are we on the agenda?
Attorney RFPs.
Okay, attorney RFPs, Dr. Shu.
Thank you. Yeah, after the board approval, we try publish last year. Yeah. Or Mr. Alice never suggested. Something we following that, we try to collect more. Interesting, we collected 2 proposals. Then yesterday, one withdraw, and one left us here in the company from Jacksonville. So, and for the direction, which we're going, we stop just implement the board decision, what you want me to do. It's just for the here, if you want to ask a question, answer they're here, anything here. Just give out direction what's the process.
I couldn't understand that.
Yeah, we collected 2 proposals. One luckily for the withdrawal yesterday, and then also only one for here. We need a board direction for further process, what we should do. Our job is implement the board decision.
Can I, Commissioner Becker?
I was really impressed looking over her file and all the different things that she does.
Who's she?
The-
Oh, no, I'm sorry, I didn't know who you were speaking of.
Let me get the name so I don't mess it up.
Ms. Hodges, yes.
Miss Hodges.
Yes.
Mrs. Hodges has a very, very impressive resume and has worked for huge cities, counties, state organizations. I think that she has exactly the kind of things that we are looking for in someone that can deal with government agencies, with public safety, with public health, especially when it comes to giving out opinions on kind of big matters where she's worked. She was appointed by the governor for the chair of the Port Authority. She was the Jacksonville Lawyer of the Year this year. So I think it's, all right. All right, well, congratulations. But, I would love to hear from both of you, I guess. If you'd like to introduce yourselves.
Can I have comments? Because I was told that they weren't here for that, but can I have comments? I can let them talk afterwards. Anybody else have comments? Okay. The only question I have, and I echo Commissioner Becker's comments about how impressive your presentation was. So please, what I'm about to say, don't take that as a discount on anything. My question is, do we know why the Douglas firm pulled the bid?
No idea.
Okay. Then my other questions, and this is more because we've been down this road before. We did it last year. Didn't have sufficient bids, and we rebid. I think in light of the issues that we're running into, unfortunately, late in the year with bonuses, and that we follow proper procedures, and that we get the right attorney, opinions in advance of us taking votes. My concern is that to vote on awarding, in my personal opinion, awarding a RFP to an attorney right now without having sufficient respondents, it would be negligent of this board, and it has no bearing on you. You're probably very good at this, but I was hoping to have an interview process, and apparently we went from an RFP to the board doing scores without even talking to the attorneys, which I think
That's
is...
what we do now.
No, you don't score and then interview. You interview and then score. I've never seen a hiring process where you give somebody a score and then you say, okay, can I interview you now? After you've already issued the number. So I'm not going to go there. I'm just going to stay calm here.
I'd like to respond to that. All the other times with the other lawyer firms, we scored, and then they came. So I don't know how this is any
And I
different.
never agree with that process. How can you score somebody when you haven't had an opportunity to interview them? I mean, anybody can write anything in a review.
Well, the score's it doesn't mean you win. So the score's
Well-
just the score.
The score says this RFP ranked higher than this RFP.
But it doesn't mean we have to hire them based on the score.
That's, I guess, what we did last year.
Well, because I think there was discussion and everything
Okay,
after the score, but the
I said
score-
that was my personal opinion, and it is a board vote, and the board can vote to award the RFP, or the board could say, hey, given all the issues we've had in the last year, maybe it would be prudent to try to rebid this RFP. Ms. Myers has agreed to stay on for another 3 months if we need to allow us to get more proposals and ensure that we're doing our due diligence before we hire anybody else. But again, I'm only one out of 4, actually, yeah, out of 4 at this meeting. So my recommendation, and again, it's no reflection on you, would be to rebid the RFP and invite you to, again, submit your proposal, but that's just mine. You guys can make a different motion.
To be clear, is that a motion that you're putting on the
My
floor?
motion would be to rebid the RFP. There's not a second, so
Public comment, please.
public comment,
So there was no second?
no second.
Okay.
Oh, Ed Slavin, Dr. 304, edslavin.com. Been coming to mosquito control meetings since 2006. And at that time, mosquito control spent $1.8 million on a helicopter without competitive bidding. I asked my mom, who had long experience in purchasing both public and private sector, Mom, would you buy a helicopter without competitive bidding? She said, absolutely not. Absolutely not. So we have, in the past, in 2010, done it right. We had 15 lawyers at the old mosquito control headquarters, 15 lawyers, 15 law firms that applied. 15. We only got 2 responses. Why was that? I think because the same man who mishandled the business manager, Mr. Weaver, who mishandled the helicopter contract to a fairly well, and we had to cancel the contract, get a full refund, but he claimed that was sole source. I think somebody pre-selected the person they wanted to have the job, and I don't think they did enough advertising. I think the Florida Bar Journal, with a display ad like you would do if you were hiring a scientist, is the way to go. All over the state of Florida. Let's not have any more sweetheart contracts. We have 36% cost overruns on this abortion of a museum that cost way too much, and now we're going to hire a lawyer, and they're the only bidder in the finals. I think they would be embarrassed to do that. By the way, the Gambrell Russell firm, Smith, Gambrell and Russell, I was very impressed with one of their founders back in 1989 at the American Bar Association mid-year or annual meeting in Honolulu. We had a resolution, a number of parts of the ABA, the young lawyers included, administrative law judges, National Conference of Judges. They supported our resolution. Mr. Russell, one of the founders of that firm, supported our resolution strongly, and we stopped the Bush administration from adopting an executive order that would have taken away the rights of 3.5 million Americans and government contractors. So it's a very impressive firm. That's not the issue. The issue is sweetheart contracting and a lack of advertising and a lack of respect for the people. Why wasn't there a plan for interviews? I can't believe that. And why are we so disrespectful of people who raise concerns? You know, I got a rather hostile text message from one of our commissioners who's outgoing. I'll share it with you if you want to read it. Part of it's obscene. Called me an MF. I don't think citizens ought to have to put up with that kind of behavior. And I don't think we ought to have to put up with anti-competitive practices. Under the antitrust laws, fundamental policy of the American people is competitive bidding. It's free and open competition. We can do that, and our attorney has graciously agreed to stay on, I understand, for 3 more months. So there's no principled reason not to delay, and if the Smith, Gambrell, and Russell firm is acceptable, I'd be proud to consider their application. If it's more than one, thank
You
you.
need to wrap it up. Ms. Mueller?
I swore to myself.
Jeannie, can you, your name
It's
and,
Jeannie Mueller, 245 Wildwood Drive, St. Augustine. I swore to myself when I retired from mosquito control, I was done with mosquito control. But let me just give you a little history about our hiring attorneys. The attorney that I inherited in January of '07 was highly insulted at the very first meeting in January by one of our newly elected commissioners, and he immediately handed in his resignation. We put out an ad for attorneys. We hired a boutique firm of all women out of Daytona Beach. She too was highly insulted and called a liar and resigned. And then we put out another ad for Mr. Wyckoff. We had numerous attorneys show up for interviews because it's your job and was my job to hire the attorney. Never did I see a score before attorneys came out. It was an ad, it was not an RFP. And then we hired Wayne Flowers, and Wayne was here until you left. But never once did we do a score like you would do if you wanted to hire a construction company or any other professional. So I don't know where the scores came from, but that's how it was done in the past. And you might really want to go back, run another ad. I haven't seen any of the paperwork, don't care about the paperwork, but only having one person, I'm not so sure you want to do that.
okay, well, another comment?
I have a comment also.
Audrey Mazzata, 224 Little Owl Lane. With the hiring process, like even in the education world, when we hire teachers, you always, you look at your resumes and then you bring them in for an interview. Because a resume doesn't tell the whole story about a person. Someone could look very good on paper, and then when you talk to them and try to get a feel for how they would think on their feet, it's a completely different story, and you end up going with a different candidate. So I agree with Commissioner Gleason in waiting, and if the lawyer has definitely, has agreed to stay on, to give yourself that, that extra time to consider other applicants, because it's the same thing in the teaching world. You don't want to hire just the first person just to get someone in there and then, possibly make a mistake of choosing the wrong candidate. So just give it a little bit more time, because in other industries, you have to interview and you have to ask those questions and then score the person, because anyone can look great on paper. I've sat in numerous interviews where the resume was like flawless, the person had tons of experience, and then you get the candidate in there and you're like, oh, we can't hire this person. So thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner?
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to make the comment that this isn't the first time we've sent out an RFP. This is the third time now, I think. Am I correct there?
But
Third time?
This time around?
Not this, I mean, looking for a firm.
Well,
And
last
so,
year we did.
We did it twice.
We did, yeah.
Last year, we extended it because we only had 2 applicants, the initial.
right, and then so this is really the third go-round, and they are not the only ones. I mean, the Douglas firm was also,
No,
you know.
at this point, Douglas firm is not to be considered.
right, because they withdrew, but to be fair, they actually
No,
won.
that's what I'm saying. I don't want to say that anything I say has nothing to do with their qualifications. What I'm saying is, we're now down to interviewing just one term. There's nothing to
Right,
compare to.
But we've already been through this multiple times, and now, and so this is, Douglas firm withdrew, and that's fine, but I would like to hear from this firm and then make a decision.
Can I ask you a question? If they're, first of all, I want to ask you first, would you be opposed to rebidding if we rebid the RFP? I'm just asking that question because we did ask it last year when the other candidates were here. We said, would they rebid if we chose to do the RFP again? And please give us your, I'm very impressed with your RFP. But my
Great.
question is, if we chose, because we want to make sure we make the right decision, and our attorney has opted, I think you did say that you would extend your contract 3 months, would you be opposed to rebidding if we said we need to go back and have more candidates apply?
Right, through the chair. So Lasikia Hodges, and first of all, let me just say thank you so much for having us here and inviting us, Dr. Shu, to come here. As I stated in our RFP, we are elated to have this opportunity to provide you with legal services. In terms of whether or not Smith, Gambrell, Russell would be opposed, I think that's clearly a decision for you to make. You're an independent special district, so if you want to make that decision pursuant to your RFP rules, you can do that. Would we submit again? Absolutely, because we're elated to be here. That's why we showed up here today. If it's okay, could I just, a few seconds, because I really appreciate the comments from the public. I really appreciate it, and I take those to heart. I've been doing this for 17 years. I am a veteran government, city, county, and local government lawyer. I think it's important for this board to know that I'm a board certified city, county, and local government lawyer. In the Florida State Bar, they have 27 specialty areas, and this is an area that is so nuanced that there is actually a program that says if you want to be an expert, if you want to uphold yourself as somebody that's proficient and skilled at city, county, and local government law, you go through the process, you take an exam, you have peer reviewers, people that work in the same industry, the same practice area, that vouches for, yes, Ms. Hodges is someone who is proficient in this area. And why is that important? For exactly the issues that you were talking about today. There have been prior tapes that I've looked at, and this commissioner has raised issues about public employment. The employees that are here, that's a city, county, and local government issue. Clearly, the bonuses are a city, county, and local government issue. And if you look at my resume, just to highlight a few things, for 17 years, I was with the consolidated government of the city of Jacksonville, which is not like any other county, city here. It's consolidated. So what's unique about the Office of General Counsel, I was the Deputy General Counsel, is that not only did they represent the general government, so that would be the 19 city council members, but we also represented special districts just like you. We had independent districts like our school board, and then we also had a lot of dependent districts like our Port Authority or Aviation Authority. All of that was handled out of the Office of General Counsel. So you've raised very good issues on the bonus. I will tell you, like your good counsel stated, there is an extra compensation statute. But even if you're giving bonuses to your employees, there are certain dictates in that statute. We dealt with that very frequently in the city of Jacksonville. I currently now represent the town of Orange Park as their town attorney. And this government affairs practice at Smith Gambrell is a new practice, but I'm leading the practice, and it's my 17 years of experience in government law. I would like to say quickly, Daniel Bean, although I would love to take his accolades on being appointed to the Jacksonville Port Authority, is Daniel Bean, and he was the one that was actually voted by the Jacksonville Bar as being the lawyer of the year. Dan's been practicing for close to 30 years. He's a stellar litigation attorney. I also said in our RFP response that we have an employment lawyer on staff, we have an intellectual property lawyer, so you have my specialty area, government expertise combined with his litigation experience. And so while I appreciate the comments from the public, you can put lots of ads out and we will apply again, But look no further, you have a firm right here that we feel is more than qualified to do this work. The last thing that I will say, simple things that are also unique, I think, to government attorneys are parliamentary procedures, meeting decorum. The way that we pride ourselves at Smith Gambrell is that we are proactive. So I gave you 5 references, whether it's the 19 council members of the city of Jacksonville, town of Orange Park. I am not the attorney that is reactive. I am a proactive attorney. And I like to tell all of my clients, you're the client, you're in the driver's seat. So at any point in time in this relationship, you're calling the shots. But I am sitting on the passenger side, and I'm not a silent passenger. I'm the passenger that as we're driving along the way, I'm going to make sure you stay on task. I'm going to make sure you stay within your parameters. But I'm going to also point out things that might get you to your goal. You have a profound goal, a goal of being the best mosquito control entity in the state, nationally and internationally. You already have phenomenal staff in Dr. Shu and all of the folks that report up to him. And so as the lawyer, it's our role to get you focused on that goal. So all these side issues about finance and employment and bonuses, these are all things that's really, in my mind, bogging you down from getting to a point where you can be that national, state, and international entity. So I just wanted to point that out because lawyers have different styles. Some lawyers are reactive and other lawyers are more proactive. And if you talk to any one of my past clients, they'll tell you that I'm not shy in telling you what you can or cannot do. And if there's something that you can't do, that's what you're leaning on the lawyer for, to give you the right roadmap to get there. But we're happy to resubmit our bid again. We're happy to resubmit a bid again.
Can I ask
Thank
you
you so
question,
much.
a follow-up question? So I'm glad you brought up there's some special exemptions for additional compensation. But here's where I'm going to step, you're going to correct me because you're the attorney and I'm the board member without the law degree. But there is home rule regulation which says that I cannot do what maybe the county or the municipality does. We were created by the legislature, and the legislature is very clear is that we cannot do what is not expressly authorized for us to do. Where some of the counties have a little bit more leeway because they have, and I'm not exactly sure if it falls under the Home Rule Act, but they may have more leeway because of that than we do, because our dictate comes from the legislature, and it's very clear in an opinion that was handed down to, I'm not sure if you read it yet, Douglas Wyckoff, who used to be our attorney for us in 2008, which was very specific as to compensation in the cap.
Right.
And then there was another ruling in the Collier County Mosquito Control that reiterated that same directive. So
Right.
I wanted to follow up with you on that.
Right. So through the chair to Commissioner Gleason, you point out very important analysis, because the home rule analysis absolutely applies to counties, it applies to municipalities, and the way that analysis works is you can do whatever you are authorized to do as long as it's not preempted. So it's not that your analysis is, do we have the authority in our local charter to do it? It is, are we doing something that is preempted by the state law? That's a home rule analysis that does not apply to independent districts. You're absolutely correct about that. So the independent districts, you only have the authority that state's giving you. You're a created entity, and so you have to stay within those boundaries. My comment was more towards, there's kind of 2 issues. One issue is your commissioners can get a bonus. The other issue is what type of bonuses or extra compensation you're giving to your staff and your employees. And so you really kind of got 2 analyses that needs to happen there. Of course, right, you're a public officer, and then you also have your public employees.
Okay.
And so at some point in time, probably that analysis needs to be done.
Thank
Okay.
you. Any questions from the board? Ms. Becker?
For the fee and structure, it says $3,000 include a month for the retainer, and it's estimated for 8 to 10 hours a month. How many? Can you give us an estimate of what you think
something.
Yeah, around there.
If you look
And
up
can I,
And if it's over that, then are we looking at the hourly billing to add to that?
correct, but let me just clarify that, and it's such a great question that I do want to, put on the record. So really, that 8 to 10 hours is what I would project after I've probably been here a year and we're smooth sailing. Because here's the reality. I don't know your operations. I've got to get in there. So this forensic audit that the commissioner was talking about, great point. But typically the way that I practice, I just did this with the town of Orange Park. I'm going in. I'm looking at their policies because I appreciate Ms. Myers, but if Smith Gambrell were so fortunate to provide you with legal services, I can't rely on what past attorneys said. If it's coming under my watch, then I've got to do my own due diligence. I've got to do my own review, and I've got to make sure that I'm comfortable with the legal counsel that I'm giving you. So I say all this to say, with the town of Orange Park is a similar retainer, but it's been more often that they've asked me, when are you leaving, Ms. Hodges, than it is that I'm not staying, I'm staying too short of a time, because that's just what it's required. So I want you to know on this, in the first year, you're really getting a deal. I mean, because I've got to go in and I've got to get comfortable and get you to a place where your policies are where they need to be. We've looked at these bonuses. We've answered all of these questions. Your public records, ethics, sunshine law, all of these city, county, and local government topics that are specialized and unique. That's why the Florida Bar has come up with the certification program, because not just anybody can come and say, I'm familiar with the difference between, I appreciate the terminology, the difference between a home rule analysis versus your special district analysis. And so that first year, I can assure you, I'm probably going to be working 40 hours. But you're only going to have the benefit of sending me a bill each month for $3,000, because that's just, we're either all in 100% and making sure you're legally where you need to be, or we're not in at all.
And with that, you reside in Jacksonville?
So I'm actually a native of Jacksonville. I was born here and then raised in Clay County. And so, but Smith Gambrell has a downtown office. So we are about, depending on the traffic, 35 minutes, 40 minutes away. Mr. Bean is actually a resident of St. Johns County. So he is here. He's probably only 15 minutes away from where you are. And we would be co-teaming this. And you couldn't get a better set of attorneys to co-team. The other thing that I'll point out is it's not just the work that we do, the legal work. We believe in excellence at Smith, Gambrell, and Russell. We're both AV rated. And again, this is a rating system where your peers go in and tell you that you're doing a great job. But we also take public service very serious. He's a veteran. You saw on our resumes between his public service and my public service on nonprofit boards. This is just, it's in our DNA.
So, and would you be able to attend each meeting?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
And I think I said this in our response, barring some emergency. I do have 2 kids that are in college, one at UPenn and Harvard, that I like to brag about. But barring an emergency, it's no question that the attorney, just as Ms. Myers, you need to be here, because I need to be able to see your faces. I need to be able to hear the conversation and give you the counsel that you need. So that would definitely be the standard. And the rare exception, only on an emergency, if we're not able to make it.
And because you're going to be coming from Jacksonville, I didn't see anything on here for like travel expenses.
No,
It's
not included. So the 3,000 is just the flat rate. So no, you're not going to get an extra charge to pay for. That's an all-inclusive fee.
Okay.
All-inclusive fee. The only time where we go outside for those additional services would be if you're clearly, we're working on a project where it's going to take 300 hours. And that, which is probably a project where you wouldn't want your general counsel to be spending their time on, right? You probably need to outsource some of that, but.
Any other questions?
I just have a comment, actually.
Yeah.
I was really impressed with the portfolio, and I researched beyond that on the internet, both your firm and then the Douglas firm as well, and I was just impressed all the way around. You're a very involved individual, and you appear to be very much a go-getter. So we've already been through a number of RFPs, so I would like to make a motion to hire Smith,
There was
Gambrill,
a
and
question
Russell.
that,
That's fine, but
just a question, yeah,
Okay.
just a quick question from what you mentioned. You know what? It's probably not important because it just flew out of my brain. So, go ahead. Make your motion.
okay. So I'd like to make a motion to hire Smith, Gambrill, and Russell.
Second, can I make a comment?
Comments first.
I would love it if we had 100 law firms apply and we could talk to all of them, but we don't have that. And we can continue putting out RFPs, but that doesn't mean people are going to apply here. So I would like to second that motion.
Okay.
Even if we had 100 people here, I don't think we can get anybody better than you all.
I just remember my question? My question, so you said that you were going to go through all the policies. So one of the things we're, I guess, voting on next is the HR firm to review our policies. So one of the questions, if this board chooses to award the contract, are you going to go through all the policies and let us know where this, because I'm trying to figure out, do we need to make that vote on the HR firm if they're going to go through all the policies?
Well, those are
I just need to understand what exactly
Yeah.
you mean, but you're
So-
going to go through our policies.
Right, so here's what I mean. There are some key HR policies.
Right.
You've got sexual harassment, discrimination, your benefits policies. So I think your move to hire an HR expert is the absolute right one to do, because what we are not are HR experts, but what we are attorneys who are very versed in the federal regulations and the state regulations, the legal side of things that apply to those issues. So when you combine the two, the HR expert with the attorney's firm, then you're getting the good counsel that you need. So let me be clear. It wouldn't be that we would go through every single policy having to do with HR, but there are some key policies that we need to make sure that are required under federal rules, state rules, that we need to make sure. And with the entity of your size, it's not uncommon at all that things just need to be updated. And so that's the type of review that I'm referring to.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that we
Yeah.
weren't stepping. And given that we're taking this vote today, I would assume that as this HR experts come on to review all the policies and say whether that you would be working closely with them as well. And then my other request would be, as you can tell, since I've been on this board, everybody quotes Chapter 388, and I know that we are subject to more than just Chapter 388.
Yes, you are.
To be fair to this board, I don't think this board always understood all the sections of statutes that we're subject to. And I've seen other districts like school board, their legal book is like this big. Is there any way that you would bring, in your coaching, bring this board along to understand the rules that we have to abide by?
Yes,
Because honestly, I do not want to get my JD degree at this age.
Although you'd probably
But at the
make a
same
great
time, I
lawyer.
want to be able to sleep at night.
Yes,
So-
so absolutely, no question, because that's what you need in order for you to get to this goal of being the best mosquito control entity in the state, nationally and internationally. So our goal would be to equip you with a long litany of statutes and on layman's terms, because it's not your responsibility to memorize statute. I feel like as a lawyer, that's part of what the lawyer's role is. But there are some things in order for you to be able to do your job correctly that you've got to know. And it's not just 388. It's the special act that created you. It's Chapter 189 that's pertinent to independent districts such as your special districts, such as yourself. It's 119 having to do with public records. It's 286. It's any extra compensation. 215, 425. I mean, there's a litany. The finance statutes out there, litany of statutes that apply, and I go back to this is why the Florida Bar deemed it fit to actually have a certification program where you have lawyers who can make sure that they're up to speed on all these issues that impact city, county, and local government, which is what you are, law. So we'd be happy to do that training. We do that sort of thing all the time. To me, that's a workshop that we need to do. It's educational for you as commissioners, and we're also happy to do that same type of training with your employees, because your employees to some level would need to know the same types of laws that you have to deal with as commissioners. They would need to know so that they don't inadvertently find themselves facilitating a sunshine law violation or something like that as that liaison act in between. So I hope that answered your
Well,
question.
thank you so much. So you have.
I made the motion.
So we have a
Okay, and
second.
th-
We
was
just
there
need a
second?
vote.
Okay. Excuse me?
LeBlanc.
Oh, public, excuse me? Okay,
It was, Brandhurst.
yeah, okay.
And Trish, both
Um,
seconded.
So, all in favor, say, all in favor? Okay. Let it record reflect that, okay, here I go with the name. I couldn't have shortened it. Smith, is it firm?
Oh, Smith, Gamble, and
Smith, Gamble, and Russell have been awarded the.
Russell. I've got the motion.
Okay, you got
I
that?
got it all.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. And I apologize, I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't ask the questions. Go ahead.
now that you'll be working with us, could you work with Ms. Myers so we can figure out this whole bonus situation?
Yeah, how does that work? The AG, she has an opinion, and, okay, you guys, okay.
Can I call you tomorrow?
Okay. Alrighty, the next thing on the agenda is the HR firm RFP. Dr. Shu?
Thank you, Chair. That after we advertise it and we collect the two, so one is the MGT, another one is the risk group. So that's a different proposal, same job. One requests the $70,000 maintenance and additional charge. One is requested by hourly charge. So it really depends upon the direction. So what you really wanted to do. Also, last meeting for the approval, AMCD will hire one full-time HR person. We posted, and after holiday, start interview. You have one full-time HR person, or so you want to hire one HR full. So what's the direction? Can make a decision which we look at. Commissioner Becker,
Commissioner Becker?
So I looked fully through both of the people, and when I first motioned this, just to bring everyone, so we all remember, we wanted a firm that can come in, that can look at all our policies, that can look at everything. We don't need to have them here. We're going to hire a person to do that. So in my opinion, I think that the MGT place would be the better one because it's hourly. The risk strategies is $70,000 a year. And honestly, I don't think they offered as many things as the MGT does, and we'd have to pay for a separate software to use. I think if we wanted to have them in our space all the time, working full time, that might be different, but we want them to look over our policies, look over our pay plans, look over the HR things that we have, and that way, when we have our full-time HR person, they can implement the strategies that they come up with. And some of the things for the public, you guys don't have this, the MGT that they specialize in is on-demand counseling, talent acquisition, interim staffing, classification and compensation studies, diversity, equity, and inclusion services and training, HR policy writing and updates, supervisory and leadership training, performance management, disparity expertise. And then the next thing in my mind was, where are these people from? And so Carla, I'm probably going to butcher the name, I apologize, but Carla Mazikia will serve as the project manager, it says, and primary point for this, and lives nearby. So it's not, the other one is, I think, based far away. Oh, Palm Beach Gardens. So, I mean, what do you all think about it?
I just have a question for Dr. Shu. Did you, Dr. Shu, were they invited to attend this meeting? Well, you're asking us to make a decision based on paperwork, and they're not even present for us to talk to. I understand the hourly versus the $60,000, but I can tell you a full HR review at an hourly rate that MGT quoted us could easily exceed $60,000. So I don't like to do a quarterly, an hourly, unless I have a cap on how much they can spend. Because you can end up spending a lot more money on an hourly basis if you don't have parameters as to how much you're willing to cap them off at without further board approval. And the fact that neither firm was invited to come and present to this board is a problem for me, because I would like to talk to them the same way we talk to our lawyer.
So we could.
Can we move it to January?
We could move it to January
Okay.
and then get to talk to both of them, because I think there's probably questions.
Yeah,
So
we're not HR experts here, so I really want to
that's fine with me.
talk to them. So I make a motion that the decision on the HR firm be moved to the January board meeting.
You invited their coming board.
Excuse me?
You invited their coming board.
Yeah, invite, and I make a motion for the decision to be moved to the January board meeting, and for both firms to be invited to attend the meeting.
Okay, thank you.
If they have to fly here or something, do we want to offer a virtual way for them to attend?
No, because that's standard. If you want a business, if you want a contract, you travel to get the contract. It's standard practice. It's part of doing business. Ms. Myers, would you agree with that? That's
It's true for me.
yeah. You don't
Yeah,
compensate.
but we pay for you to come, so.
No,
you have
but
to pay
not-
for them to come.
Not
before.
when she interviewed.
Oh,
It was
okay.
on her dime.
So there's a motion. It hasn't been seconded.
Okay.
I'll
Is
second
it
it.
seconded? Public comment.
The motion to table it till
January.
January?
Yes. Public comment. Mr. Slavin.
Ed Slavin, box 3084. I strongly support the motion. And I would point out to this board that you are overly reliant on staff on so many things. Did your attorney even review this paperwork? And why in the heck were 2 of the 4 votes on the committee that evaluated them potentially possessing conflicts of interest? I refer to Mr. Hanna and Mr. Weaver, both of whom were involved in the 30s, 45% cost overruns. What's the amount of cost overruns on the building? 36% cost overruns. They were up to their earballs in the cost overruns. And here they are recommending an HR firm who might want to really go light on employee misconduct and employee misfeasance, malfeasance, nonfeasance, fraudfeasance. You should not rely on your staff so much. You need to listen to your attorneys more. I think you hired a good firm just now. I'm glad you did. I think the firm you have currently was unqualified and should never have gotten the job. And some of the answers that they gave were absolutely wrong and unresearched, and reflected maybe that she went to law school in the wrong state and didn't really know mosquito control law. But she wanted the gig, and she got it, and now she's quit because I think she was going to be fired. But at any rate, your committee system doesn't work. You have people on committees who are staff members with board members. you're going to have a committee system, it needs to be all members of the board, not staff persons. That's not a committee system. And I'm sure learned counsel can advise on that. But I'm glad you hired a good law firm. I'm glad you're delaying this, hopefully, until January, so that TJ Zada, our new commissioner, can participate. And look forward to his being on the board. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. Any more public comments? Okay, hearing none, ready to vote. Everybody in favor of the motion of delaying the decision on the HR firm to January
And inviting them.
and inviting them to attend? All in favor? Okay, you have 3. All opposed? Alrighty. Okay, new business.
No, we moved,
Fine.
those were moved to new business, yes.
Financial report. Financial report.
And
I-
financial Scott is today is on the way there. So they,
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Scott is cannot show up today, has a sick,
I couldn't understand.
he's sick.
Mr. Hannah is sick.
So that the total at the end of November 30, have a cash balance, 9.1, little over 9.1 million. So source income from local and SBA funding is 999,879. That's totally the source income. For the DVEC, you can see very detailed report here, expenditure for current situation. If you have any question, and the accountant here may give answer, or maybe can call Scott, and Hannah can ask a question. Next week,
Yeah. The only question I have for you, it's on the Florida Prime, the balance on Florida Prime. It's at 65% of the total reserves. Are we still within the cap that we established when we passed the investment policy?
What page was
It's on page 1 of the treasurer's report.
the 75%?
Yeah, it's the Florida Prime Investment Fund. It says 6,008,851, and I'm just asking, are we still within the cap that we weren't going to let it exceed?
Oh, yes, it is the way.
Okay, so it's still within that cap, so we haven't exceeded it, okay. Yeah, I couldn't remember what the cap was that we
One
put.
that is voted on.
Yeah,
I
do you
think it
remember
was
what that,
75.
it was 75? Okay, I just wanted to make sure, because.
For some reason, that person.
Okay, thank you. That's, and then there was one expenditure for $93,000 to Harrow Construction, on page 2 of the Treasury. It says, well, it's page 3, but it says page 2 of the Treasurer's report. It's on 11/21/24. I can't see what it's for. It says AMCD CO.
It's a cold room.
Oh, the cold room. Okay, so that's what, okay. I couldn't see what that was for, cold room. This one.
For $93,000.
That's the cold room. Are we done?
We done.
Is that it? Okay.
Oh,
And then the last question I have with you is, are we done with the education center spending? Okay, so when you say no, are we within the approved November additional spending, or is it going to go higher than that?
We won't let it go.
You won't let
I
it
could
go?
interject on that.
Okay,
if you want.
okay, yeah.
We stopped paying people in October, so all the vendors went and took more jobs. So
Okay.
we're trying to get them back, and they haven't gotten time to put all of them in our schedule. So it's not the money, it's getting them back.
Yeah, but
We waited.
but that money, that'll be it.
Yeah,
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
That's all I have. Any other questions? Public comment.
Doris Taylor. I just have a question or two. What did we pay $542,000 in taxes for him.
What page are you on, Ms. Taylor?
Oh,
Page
Thank-
2,
Oh, page
that's
two.
Dennis
we
Hawley, for-
received that money from the tax collector for property tax.
that's money you received.
If I'm
Okay,
looking at
I see that.
the same thing, it's 9-430 Dennis Hollingworth.
I
That's the one.
see that, yes, thank you.
Yeah, that's a credit to us. They pay it out at multiple times throughout the year. We don't get it all in like one big chunk.
So, oh, wonderful property taxes.
People pay
Yes.
more, like
And-
discount time, like in November, that's what I pay my tax for, you get 4% off. So that's what.
That's people prepaying their taxes.
Yes.
And you have a $9 million balance.
That's
Why
a
does
surplus.
this, yeah, why do you need that much surplus? Why is it so big?
She was looking at this one. Registrar. Do we need to vote on a,
Do we have an answer to that, please?
well,
I do not have public comment.
it's years of millage rates going up. By the way, I just want to remind everybody, we did roll back the millage rate to .16 this year. It was at .18, so we rolled it back. But you're correct, that's a lot of money to be sitting in reserves. And this board is keenly aware of that. And we will be remiss again next year if we don't look closely at that millage rate one more time. When this started going up, it was 2014, and the millage rate at that point was .14. So we're at .16, we're getting hopefully back to where we were supposed to be. There was something, do we need the budget amendment?
And just to
There's-
add
There's
in,
no budget
budget
amendment?
amendment.
Okay.
from what I've learned here, that each hurricane season, if we have one big outbreak, it'll cost about $1 million. So that's what I know from the funds being there for emergency supplies.
Yeah, but she's asking about the reserves, though. Mr. Slavin?
Well, I wish Mr. Hanna were here to answer our questions. Apparently, he bailed on us after he insulted me and Commissioner Gleason, and it's on my blog, edslavin.com. So you've got a CFO who's unqualified, you have a business manager who's unqualified, and we put up with flummery, dupery, and nincompoopry, and 36% cost overruns, and only one current commissioner wants to do something about it. That's wrong. You're the stewards of our tax monies, and we expect it to be done right. And I'm so glad that the Smith, Gambrell, and Russell firm is here, and hearing all this and seeing how this board is run, and I think it's going to be run a lot better with good legal advice. There's a lovely man, a Republican, who was Secretary of State and Secretary of War in 2 Republican administrations, and he was also a corporate lawyer, and his name was Elihu Root, great American. And he said that there's sometimes when you're advising a large organization, or even a small one, some of the most essential advice that an attorney, or a good attorney can give is, you're damn fools, and you should stop. Elihu Root, great American. And I think we need to heed that advice. We've wasted too much money, not just this board, our country, our state, our county, and I've been talking out about this stuff for years. And I'm so glad, Ms. Gleason, that you're on this board, and you're alert, and you're watching, and you're asking questions. And as disrespectful as Mr. Hanna was to you today, you're dealing with it very well. I think he needs to retire. I think Dr. Shue needs to retire. I think Mr. Weaver needs to retire. And smirks from one of the commissioners is not really responsive.
I did not smirk.
I didn't say your
Don't
name.
assume that I am.
I saw this.
Please.
Yeah, please don't interrupt. She interrupted me. Please gavel her. At any rate, in the future, when people come here with concerns, including commissioners, you need to treat them with dignity, respect, and consideration, because I've seen some of the tapes and I've attended some of the meetings where Commissioner Gleason raised concerns, and y'all are barking at her the same way that the alleged CFO barked at me on the phone today. You don't need to be barking at people. You don't need to be threatening at people. You don't need to be smirking. And you were elected to serve the people of this district. You took the same oath my father took with the 82nd Airborne, volunteered the day after D-Day. He helped to liberate the first French town taken back from the Nazis on D-Day, the morning of D-Day, before the sun even rose. Anything else? Oh, any questions for me?
Nope.
No.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for your
Thank you for your
service.
comments.
Looking forward to the new law firm advising you and hopefully turn this into a law-abiding district and something we can be really proud of, because I've been following this district since 2006. We stopped that helicopter. Thank you.
Slavin, your turn. Okay, new business. And where did we end up? Not at the beginning, right?
Well, we moved the new business to items 3 and 4.
Okay, so 3 and 4. So item 1 is the
Exploratory collaborative
yeah,
agreement.
the SIT collaborative.
All right, so when I came to you guys before, I think it was a little bit misrepresented, so I want to kind of roll it back and clarify. So we bring visiting scientists here, we have adjunct professors, they come in and they utilize our space, and we work in a collaborative environment to, produce deliverables, right? So that's either through publications or through presentations. And so in the same manner, Mosquito Mate now has an EPA registered biopesticide that is in line with what we do here at AMCD in the SIT building. And so when we're talking about mosquitoes and using an actual biopesticide that is a living organism, there's a lot that needs to be worked out. The workflows, even right now we're in the current process of figuring out what those workflows are going to be for our SIT program. And environmental conditions indoors play a big factor in that. It may take us a couple of months, it may take us a year to get those kind of fine-tuned. And on the same manner, so would Mosquito Mate. So it's not like they're coming in right away and they have this workflow and business model ready to deploy, right? It is a situation where they need to assess, just like we need to assess in a collaborative environment, whether it would be beneficial for us in the future, right? So right now, we're not talking about a business plan. Potentially in the future, if it is determined that it works for both AMCD and Mosquito Mate, to move forward. But right now, it's more of a collaborative. They would like to be able to utilize the space, which we have available, because right now we're working with one species, right? We're also bringing up our workflows. It's new to us. And so in that respect, we could work collaboratively together, while we also get a benefit because they would then provide us with that mosquito that they're trying to rear and produce in those insectaries. We would share some equipment, and Ms. Myers had reviewed like a service agreement, the exploratory collaborative agreement, with some comments relative to that, which I think is very important, that we're not going to be responsible for anything that they would potentially, damage or break. But other than that, it would be simply collaborative. They're working to see if those conditions are conducive for their production of the biopesticide. And in turn, we would get that biopesticide to be able to release into the field with our SIT team. So if you look at that based on kind of the cost, depending on the acreage that we would be doing, which we hope to do multiple releases, which would in turn be about 200 acres in total at the end of the mosquito season, would be about $145,000 that we would be getting through Mosquito Mate's production. And that's just if they are capable, right? What happens if the insectary conditions fluctuate and they can't produce what they're used to producing in their own facility in
She said
Kentucky?
$145,000 benefit.
We would benefit
okay.
if they were able to produce what the quantities that they think that they can do in our building just in this time period. It would be anywhere from $29,000 to $145,000.
I just have some quick questions. It's really more contract.
Okay.
Because I think the concept is a good concept, but, and this is probably better for you. Who holds the liability? Because they're Mosquito Mate employees if they get injured on property. who's going to hold that liability? Is it us or a mosquito maid?
I would think we would as the landlord.
Okay, but they're not paying us rent.
Well, I mean, I think it's just the same way that we do it with visiting scientists
They're an
or,
invitee.
Okay, so do we have to add them to our insurance policy? Okay.
it's just like when we have interns, high school or graduate, they're covered under our liability.
Okay, so is there any exposure for the next question then, is there any exposure for the district? Because they're a mosquito maid employee of them, because according to this agreement, they would be holding an AMCD email, not a mosquito maid email. So is there any, contractually, does that make them an employee, or does it present any liability issues for us?
There's no liability. It is confusing in terms of who controls the employee when they
Yeah.
have an AMCD
Yeah.
email address.
That's my question.
Why would they get it?
I don't remember that.
Yeah, it's in the contract that they would receive an AMCD email. It's, oh, God, I wish I could.
So they'll have access, they'll have a badge.
No, it says that they will get an AMCD email if it's on, oh, darn it. Shoot. Where's the email? It's on either page 1 or page 2.
Now, there is a statement that they can use an AMC-associated address to receive mail, and that's appropriate.
No,
That's not email.
I thought it was said email, but maybe I can't find it, so.
I don't believe it.
There's a line in there that allows them to send mail and receive mail.
Yeah, I
in
can
this
see
facility.
that, you're sitting in the facility, but I read it as an email, and I just can't find it now. So, okay, if you're telling me that it's not an email, then I retract my question, but that was something that just popped up for me. And then I don't see any dispute resolution language in the contract. So if something happens between the two of us,
There isn't. There is just a get out of jail termination clause.
okay, so,
I mean, this isn't if the board so directs that they want a clause in this agreement, we can add.
I mean, conceptually, I'm in agreement, but I would like to see a contract, because according to what I was presented to sign, I'm supposed to sign this thing, and I'm not sure if I'm executing a contract or not. And I'm not going to execute
I
a
believe it would-
contract with language that's missing.
It would be a service agreement because there's
Which-
no money changing hands.
Yeah, but service agreements also have dispute resolution language, because even the best things go sideways.
We can certainly add it.
Yeah,
If you want to
I'm
approve
just-
it on the condition that that language be added, we can certainly move forward today with this contract and include that language in it before you sign.
I mean, like I said, conceptually, I think it's a good deal, but I don't want to, I'm uncomfortable signing a contract that doesn't have any dispute resolution language on it, because even the best arrangements sometimes have a way of,
Alternatively, if you would like to see the language before you sign it, you could approve the form of this language, and then we can bring you back the addendum
that would be a better
Those
approach
additional
than
terms.
me signing off on this contract with what I consider to be missing language. Do I have to take the motion first before I take public comment, or?
So it's appropriate to take public comment after there's a proposition pending, so after a motion is appropriate.
Okay, I move that we conceptually approve, I'm sorry. Commissioner Becker.
Since we have a lot of people in the audience, can you explain to them, we all know what SIT is, can you please explain to the public in this short minute thing what SIT is? We have worked with this company for many, many years, but just let everyone know what it is.
Right. So SIT stands for Sterile Insect Technique, and this is a technique that's been used in many insects, targeting the fact that most insects in general, when they mate, they only mate once. So if they mate with a wild-type male that has been irradiated, in our case, not in the Wolbachia case, it's a little bit different, but essentially they're shooting blanks, right? So you don't get viable offspring, and that way you release them, the males only, because it's the females that bite, as a pesticide, because that's kind of the way that it's been registered biopesticide through the EPA. So AMCD is moving to more environmentally sound, sustainable methods for targeting these specific one mosquito species at the moment, Aedes aegypti, which is an important vector of dengue, yellow fever, and chikungunya, and Zika. And so that is the goal of the district, to move forward with this new environmentally sustainable methodology.
Thank you. And then one other thing on here, it says when not required for other needs, the mosquito mate personnel will have the option to temporarily reside at the AMCD lodging facilities at $400 a month per person. I'm assuming where it says when not required for other needs, that doesn't mean if we've got it full, we're not kicking somebody out to put them in.
Exactly. So that's why it states that. So if we have it, if it's full of visiting scientists and interns and not available, then they would not be available to reside.
And how many people do you suspect will come?
We think, so based on conversations with Mosquito Mate, it would be the CEO and a technician. And potentially they would hire a part-time technician to also help facilitate this. Since it's not, a full-blown, we're ready to move forward, really the company heads itself are the ones that are planning on doing the work. Dr. Dobson and his wife, Karen.
Any other questions? Commissioner Wong? Commissioner Brandhurst? So, what's my motion?
You were gonna do something.
Oh, that's right.
But there's no motion.
So we haven't moved
Oh,
a
we
motion,
did
so I
not.
can't, I thought it was, so I move that we approve conceptually the agreement with additional legal language coming.
Approved.
Ma'am,
With the,
you're out of order. Okay, I'm trying to make a motion. I know what I'm trying to say. You don't need to correct me.
make yourself clear.
I move that we approve the contract or the agreement with the understanding that missing legal language would be added to address the dispute resolution language.
Do we need to see that language?
Yes, I mean,
Well,
I'm not-
do we need to bring this back then next month
Yeah, I
to see
would-
the language?
I would,
Or is
It's
the
up
language
to you.
standard?
You can approve it with the inclusion of that language, or you can
I
require me to
would-
bring it back.
I would bring it back in January to ratify it.
So just to be clear, you want to see specific is it
just-
standard language that would go there? Okay. And is that something, Ms. Myers, you would do, or,
I can send it to you tomorrow.
and then we'll bring it back?
Second.
But the motion is that it's approved with the,
Subject to that language.
subject to that language.
I'll second.
All in favor, oh, wait a minute, public comment. I just forgot that.
Thank you, ma'am. Ed Slavin, Box 304. First, I want to applaud former Commission Chair Jeannie Jackson Moeller, who's here in the room. She was one of the prime movers on this SIT lab, and I'm mystified as to why the staff delayed so long in getting it implemented. It seems like they were dragging their heels for some reason. I also want to applaud former Commission Chair Jeannie Jackson Moeller for her dedication to the public interest and saving taxpayers' money, and most importantly, reducing our use of organophosphate pesticide poisons like Zyklon B analogs by 90%. 90%. We're now hopefully going to be a law-abiding district, and we're a district that preserves and protects the environment and those of us who are non-target organisms. Doing a good job on that. I mean, people have died of cancer, dogs have died of cancer, animals have died of cancer because of pesticides. But when we're talking about dispute resolution, let me just say whoa. And let me just state that if you look up the Judge's Journal article that Judge James Gwill and I wrote in 1989 for the Judge's Journal, the downside to alternative dispute resolution, a rush to unfairness is what we called it. No government agency should ever again approve an arbitration clause of any kind. And no government agency should ever again approve any kind of waiver of our Seventh Amendment right to jury trial in civil cases, which Justice Rehnquist said was a bulwark against oppression. There have been a couple of instances in the last couple of meetings where issues arose. We never got answers from insurance companies. we don't want to ever agree to waive our rights as a government agency to any contractor, any potentate, any foreign entity, any contractor, any corporation, ever. So can we please refine the motion to not say dispute resolution? I think what you really mean is forum selection clause. What you want to say is venue will be in Northeast Florida, in the state court here or the federal court. But absolutely no alternative dispute resolution. Read my article with Judge James Quill. Look it up. It's spelled Guill. Arrest unfairness, the downside to alternative dispute resolution. And no government agency should ever be in the business of giving away their rights to corporations. Now, I would appreciate it if you would ask the new law firm to approve the language and get us a red line version of their views as well, because I'm sure they'll have some expertise in all the areas that we're talking about. And in terms of intellectual property, I know they have a good IP department. Maybe have them look at it too. One of the things I'm concerned about is who has the right to the IP. And mosquito control staff invented a nozzle some years ago. We never did a patent. Please don't do that again. Thank you.
Thank you, point taken.
Just for clarification, there is no IP in this, in the sense that they're not going to be evaluating anything new. They're working through their already established, yeah.
And also, I didn't say alternative dispute resolution, I just said dispute resolution language, Ms. Myers. Okay, there's a first and a second, right? All in favor, if you want to read back the motion, because I don't know. To approve
wasn't
the
able to.
contract subject to bringing back, approve the contract with the understanding that we're going to get
The addition of the dispute resolution.
yeah, dispute resolution language, and we will get that in January. Okay. All in favor? Okay, it's unanimous. All righty, new business, appreciation. Is appreciation? No, apparently she put, do we want to move that
Well, the
to
motion
end?
was made to move it to new business 3 and 4.
Right.
Ms.
We're just not
Myers?
there
We're not there yet. We're doing a presentation.
Right.
So, do you want to present the awards? Can you do it? Okay. So,
Wait a second.
it's the,
We didn't do new business number 2 yet.
yes, we did. Isn't that on my agenda it says?
The holiday break.
No, it's
Is
not.
that not on here?
No, it got moved to consent agenda on the new agenda. Yeah, because a lot of staff and so we're. What?
The holiday break.
I don't know. I just know that there was multiple between board and staff. There were multiple conflicts with the January 9th meeting. So they're just moving it to the 15th of January. I don't think that's the case.
And in prior years, the chair, the vice chair.
Okay. All righty, so I'm reading the, so the first one is to Commissioner Catherine Brandhurst. The Board of County Commissioners of St. Johns County present to Ms. Catherine Brandhurst, who was Commissioner from January 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2024. In recognition of your hard work, dedication, and commitment to the Board employees and the mission and goals of AMCD in serving as Commissioner for the 4 years, we would like to present to you.
The board for 12 years.
Oh, sorry, that's 4 years. So correct the 12 years. The board would like to present. The board would like to present this to you. Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Thank you for your service.
And to Ms. Myers.
See what we have here.
What? how you do it.
Yes.
Board of Commissioners of the State and Mosquito Control District of St. Johns County, Florida, presents Ms. D. Myers, District Attorney, December 31st, 2023 to December 31st, 2024. In recognition of your hard work and dedication and commitment to the board, employees, and commissioners' goals of the AMCD in serving as District Attorney for this past year. Thank you. Hold it up.
Now we have to take a group picture.
Okay, everybody get down. Catherine, do you want to get your flag? Yeah, why don't, yeah, Dr. Shu,
Right. You guys ready? You all look fantastic. 1, 2, and 3. Beautiful. I got several, so one of those should be good. Okay.
Whitney, what was item number 3 now?
Spring first, sunshine law.
Is it Sunshine Law? Yep. Okay,
Sunshine Law.
Sunshine Law, Ms. Brandhurst added Sunshine Law violation at the beginning of the meeting, at the beginning.
I want to read the letter I sent to the Commission on Ethics regarding the Sunshine Law violation. Whitney, do you have the tape?
Rick is putting it up. No. I don't know the one thing anymore.
Is that answering?
No, he's.
Does he want to address can we address the second one then while he's getting ready?
So are you,
I'll read the letter.
okay, and this one is the Sunshine Law?
Go
This
ahead,
is-
turn it on. Or watch
Well,
the
he's,
tape first.
yes, he's pulling it up.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay. This is the letter I wrote to the Commission of Ethics regarding the Sunshine Law violation. I am a sitting commissioner on the Anastasia Mosquito Control District Board. The issue of Christmas bonuses is hotly contested. I've been on this board for 12 years. Commissioners have received bonuses every year that I have been on this board. The issue is on our December 12th, 2024 agenda. At the November 21st, 2024 meeting, Commissioner-elect T.J. Mazzotto, let me point out, as of his election, is subject to Sunshine Law, stated to the board that he was speaking on behalf of Commissioner Gleason in reference to the Commissioner Christmas bonus. Commissioner Gleason did not attend this meeting. He requested that the issue of Christmas bonuses be postponed to the December meeting when all commissioners should be present. I don't know the extent of their conversation, but it is clear from his statements that they talked. In light of the fact that they clearly discussed the Christmas bonus, I am pointing this out because of the nature of the issue. It is a violation of Florida Statute 286.11, punishable by a $500 fine and immediate removal from the board. I've also contacted the governor's office and asked that he take this under consideration. Thank you for your attention to this very important matter. Commissioner Catherine Brandhurst.
Okay, first I want to make a comment because you're accusing me of something.
No, I'm
not-
telling you what happened at the meeting.
Well, I wasn't at the meeting, but I know for a fact that I never talked to Commissioner-elect T.J. Mazzata. So I'm more than happy to talk to whoever it is at the state about whether what I did or did not do. But now I am going to.
He stated that he was speaking on your behalf.
I will now, Mr. Mazzata, you're raising your hand, please.
TJ Mazzata, Anastasia Mosquito Control District, Seat 1, Commissioner-elect. What I stated in that meeting was not that I had spoken to her. It was that I said verbatim, if you want to pull the tape up, I said, I believe Commissioner Gleason is sick, just like he was when he was asked to prepare the notes that she requested for months on end before that. And then I said, wouldn't it be in the right common courtesy arena to extend that same courtesy back to her that she did to him? In not one statement, I'd love for you to bring the tape up.
And by the way, my
For-
email to Dr. Shu was about the deceased vector vote. And Dr. Shu, you got that email from me well in advance of that meeting, saying that I could not attend the meeting and would you postpone the vote? An email that Commissioner Gardner had, an email that Attorney Myers had, and that was not shared with the board. And I insisted of it be added to the minutes because I did, in writing, request an absence. So ma'am, I don't know where you're getting this, but I know that you're very upset about your, I'm sure that you're upset about your bonus, but please do not impugn, do not impugn my reputation on this board or the reputation of somebody else, because you know what? I listened to that tape, and what you're saying was never said.
Yeah,
Please play the
you're
tape.
lying. You're actually lying right now. So, and it's making you look worse than you already do. So I would just stop, take your losses. Thank you for serving. God bless you. Thank you guys. Have a great night.
I'm sorry.
Can we see what the tape?
Yeah,
Enough.
ask Rick to play, yeah, Rick. Rick,
Oh,
can you
wait a
play the
minute, we
tape?
had another public comment over there.
AMCD, Seat 1.
Okay, let it play.
Elect, Commissioner-elect. I want to thank everybody on the board and in the building, within the facilities that do such a great job here. Thank you guys if you supported me, and thank you if you didn't. It's very good to see everybody. I'm looking forward to working with everyone here, and I hope this message finds everybody well. And thank you to everybody who came as well. I do have one objection to the order of operations today. In unfinished business, section 8, number 2, to my understanding, Richard Weaver, I believe, had the flu and was tasked to provide some information on the SIT and DVEC closeout. I would like to respectfully request that the same courtesy be extended to the board with the closeout being moved to the December meeting, if that would be okay.
What's that? Which one?
I'm sorry, the SIT
Which
and
one you want
DVEC.
to move to December?
The SIT and DVEC. Section 8, number 2, unfinished business. So I know Commissioner Gleason is ill today, and she couldn't be here. So I think it would only be suitable and fitting for all of the commissioners to be here present during that discussion and during those decisions that are being made. Thank you.
Ms. Myers, could I ask you for your opinion on that?
My recall was mistaken.
So will you write an email now to the state and the ethics department and retract what you wrote?
I'll consider it.
Well, thank you.
Is this something we need to vote on?
There's a comment by,
And would
this is
the
the second
appropriate time, I
time
guess,
my
would be when we
reputation is
discuss
impugned by
this?
this board.
Hi, Audrey Mazzata, 224 Little L Lane. I have to request that you do more than consider removing your letter to the Ethics Board Commission, because that letter in writing is accusing my husband of something he did not do, which is a lie, which is slandering his name and his reputation. So I would respectfully consider and request that you put that in writing, please. Thank you.
Mr. Slavin.
I'm not a commissioner yet. To be honest. Ed Slavin, Box 3084. I agree with Ms. Mazzata and the Vice Chair. What Ms. Brandhorst did was outrageous. She's the same lady who missed how many dozen meetings here? And the board voted to ask the governor to remove her under Article 4, Section 7 of our Florida Constitution. And our lawyer from Lewis, Longman, and Walker called it to the governor's attention, and the governor never even responded, because Ms. Brandhorst changed her party registration to Republican, figuring that that would be a Colgate invisible shield against removal under Article 4, Section 7. How many tens of thousands of dollars did she take under false pretenses being paid for meetings that she did not attend here?
Excuse me?
Do not interrupt. Please gavel her.
Okay, please, both, can we just, Mr. Slavin, I know that it's late and this is not the way to.
I'll wrap up, but thank you so much.
And you do need to address the board because.
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Brandhorst needs to apologize to the board, to the people of St. Johns County, to the people of the state of Florida, and to the Mazzatas.
Okay.
What she did is outrageous.
Okay.
And she's not been a good steward of our public resources. She's not been a good commissioner. And for her to, at the last minute, send this email to, apparently an email or a letter, registered letter, to the Ethics Commission, that doggone, huh? That's really low class, honey. Really low class.
Mr. Slavin, can you
It's the truth.
refer
It's
the
the
board?
truth.
Yeah.
It's, okay, to the board.
Thank you.
I think your board rules probably have a rule that says a commissioner can't do this kind of thing. And it's
For our attorney to determine.
oh, indeed.
So-
And for the courts, because I suppose that if she doesn't withdraw her frivolous complaint, that there could be litigation.
Yep.
And I
It can be
suppose.
considered.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. What a way to end the year.
Doris Taylor, 2A LaBelly Road. It's late, I'll be brief. I don't know the players here, but as someone who has been personally slandered and libeled, publicly smeared because I worked on a political campaign against an incumbent, this is a really serious thing, and I respectfully request that any member of this board that engages in such behavior must, at the very minimum, give public written apologies. And frankly, I think they should be removed from the board and replaced. This is totally unreasonable. We cannot continue to let this go on. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Taylor. There is no motion on this, and I will talk to the attorneys afterwards and see what we need to do. What's the next item on the agenda?
It was unclear in the motion of what the fourth, there was a motion to have an agenda item number 4. Number 3 was the sunshine law. What was number 4?
I honestly would like, yeah, we're done. We said presentation and we're done. At least I don't think we can end a year and more slander from a board member that's about to retire. I am embarrassed to sit on this board, having heard what we just heard, and then have Ms. Brandhurst say, oh, I made a mistake. That is not sufficient. You know, Ms. Brandhurst, my name means a lot. His name means a lot. And you have slandered us.
Everyone here has accused me of taking money, which I never did. Mr. Slavin has accused me of taking money.
We're done.
Okay.
The
next item.
Is there another item on this agenda?
Yes, she had a second item regarding Mr. Slavin.
Okay, Mr. Slavin, you were added to the agenda. I don't know why, but you're now on the agenda. So can you please, Ms. Brandhurst?
I had several text messages that I exchanged with Mr. Slavin and asked him why he was disbarred, which he refused to answer. So took the liberty of researching it, and he was disbarred for misreputation and deceit, both of the courts and his clients, failed to preserve client property, charged excessive fees, violated court orders, abused the legal process by habitually violating the state's rules regarding harassment, and insulting, untrue, unprofessional statements regarding judges, litigants, and opposing counsel. I'm reading direct from the order. Additionally, he was disbarred in the District of Columbia for the same reasons. Okay.
What is your comment?
To these meetings, harassing the board as he harassed the courts and the officers of the court that he did when he practiced law. He was disbarred for that.
Ms. Myers, he's a public citizen, and whether we like it or not,
I just wanted to point
able
out
to come to
why
this meeting.
he was disbarred.
Okay, point
Because he
taken.
lied.
I don't know
He's a
what that
proven
has to
liar.
do with anybody attending a public meeting. Mr. Slavin, since you were addressed, you can comment.
May,
Wait a minute, hold on a second.
may I speak?
Yes.
If the proposition is to remove him, the standard is that he must be disruptive. His First Amendment protects his right to address this board, even if it is insulting or offensive. That's up for the chair to decide if it impedes the order or taking of business. It can be obviously perceived as a disruptive, but that's a decision for this board to make.
Does anybody, I hate to end this, does anybody feel like Mr. Slavin has been disruptive during this meeting? I hear a no, Ms.
I think he
Brandhurst.
harasses.
Ms. Brandhurst, I asked for the other commissioners, you already had your voice heard. I've asked, and nobody has stepped up. So now Mr. Slavin gets to provide his public comments.
Thank you, ma'am. Well, calling your all's attention to the October 8th decision by the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals in Atlanta in the case of Moms for Liberty versus Brevard County School Board, I have a right to criticize government officials. And that was the problem, what happened in Tennessee. And as the then Chief Judge of the U.S. Department of Labor, Nahum Litt, as Senior Special Agent Robert E. Tyndall from EPA, my client, Ed Bricker from Hanford, and other people pointed out my First Amendment rights were violated in Tennessee. And I would not necessarily rely on the same state that prosecuted John Scopes over the evolution teaching. And I think that Ms. Brandhurst was retaliating what she just said to you. She sent me a text message. When were you disbarred? 2006. I responded, 2006, you took money illegally. Why do you ask? She says in the text message, you shouldn't be giving legal advice. And I said, huh? And then she says, I never asked for any $MF. I think we know what MF means, and I think that's unprofessional conduct. I've got it right here, Ms. Brandhurst. Don't interrupt me.
Let him talk.
And then I wrote, your mailbox is full. I did not answer when, you did not answer when I called. And she says, having harassed me with these harassing text messages, she says, I have no reason to talk to you. And I wrote, still full. Don't text. What is $MF, question mark. And that's the kind of person who just attacked my character. St. Augustine Record had an editorial defending me. The St. Augustine Record had an editorial defending my honor when I was attacked by a former elected official in the city of St. Augustine back in 2006. And they said that I helped to get the biggest mercury pollution event in world history declassified, and that I was a contributing member of this community. And they said that public officials need thicker skins. And that was the St. Augustine Record editorial on November 19th of 2006. I think the St. Augustine Record was right. I think Judge Litt was right. I think Special Agent Tyndall, retired, my late former client who brought an action against EPA. We won a major precedent for all environmental law enforcement officials throughout the country and vindicated his rights. And that's what I did as a lawyer. And I do, as Colonel North would say, I'd do it again. I represented workers and whistleblowers all over the country Southern California Edison, Tennessee Valley Authority, Lockheed Martin, Oak Ridge National Laboratory, and I don't appreciate Ms. Brandhorst's hostility because I investigated her and I will continue to do so, and her taking money when she did not attend meetings is wrong, and we ought to get it back. May we have it back, please? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Slavin. And we're done, right? And with that, I call close to the,
The reports.
I'm sorry. I want to be done. Sorry. Reports.
Thank you.
Dr. Shu.
Thank you. Yeah,
It's been a
in
long night.
2024, for hurricane, we didn't have a property damage, but we have lots of rain. Mosquito population was very high, and lucky we have very good board and a very good employee. And 2024, we don't have any local acquired mosquito-borne disease, even though any imported mosquito-borne disease. Our neighbor county has 3 West Nile virus human cases. We only have some kind of 10 center chicken for West Nile, 2 center chicken for triple E, and 1 center chicken for SLE. So thank you. That's a very accomplishment. That's our tax pay for. We shouldn't have any disease in our tourist area. That's our job. And the second area, after the hurricane was the major one, Milton. So we use the state contract for air supply. We serve our county, our program, over $400,000. State pay for the kill mosquito, yeah. So third thing, 2024, we received federal, state, and private company total grant money over $500,000 for grant money. So that other thing, we have 1 visitor scientist from Taiwan professor, and after 2 months, and they left Tuesday. So really, thank you, everybody work hard, and hopefully have a good holiday. Agree, disagree, don't get mad at each other, work together. That's human nature. So they just work together, and hopefully everybody have a good holiday. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ms. Myers, do you have one?
I just want to say thank you. It's for the opportunity to have served you this past year. It's been a pleasure to see all of the really impressive things Anastasia at Mosquito Control does, and I look forward to seeing what you will do in the future, and I hope our paths cross again.
Okay. Commissioner comments, Commissioner LeBlanc?
Thank you, Mrs. Myers, for everything that you've done. I want to thank the staff for all of your hard work, and I want to wish you all a Merry Christmas.
Ms. Brandhurst?
I'd like to say Merry Christmas to everyone.
I want to say Merry Christmas to all the entire staff. This has been a hard month. So I'm not going to apologize for questioning. I will never apologize for questioning items. Like I said, I will be bringing back that motion for forensic audit every month until somebody listens and passes it. But with that, I really wish everybody a good holiday and a safe holiday because, Christmas then New Year's. And I hope for the best for the new year that for everybody's success, especially the district. Ms. Becker?
Thank you. So we had our education meeting just last week, and it was very excellent. We have a huge, steady amount of people that are coming to the education center, about 40 a day at least, and that's pretty impressive in my book.
How many were there? So 40?
What's that?
How many?
40 at least, yeah. We slowed down a little bit because school went back in, but they have really gotten a great program put together throughout the week. There's something to do for everyone. Every Sunday, there is an event every single Sunday that is, for kids. And those are always free. And let's see, I think I was here 4 times last week, and every time I came, there were people that said, oh, this is not my first time here. So people are really coming a lot there, and learning, and every time you go in, it's always something different. If you haven't seen the walls that have been finished recently, it looks phenomenal. It is very phenomenal. We had a gentleman, actually I was next door at the EOC for class Saturday, and then brought some people over to look at the center afterwards, and I ran into a gentleman that was taking pictures of the playground. There was no kids on it or anything. So I walked up and asked him like what he thought, and he is the head park ranger and translator for the North Carolina State Parks. And he came here because he just heard about it and was absolutely floored with all the information that we give. That's not only for mosquitoes, but all the other disease vectors, and was really impressed with the beehives, because we're the only people that have been able to pull off a indoor-outdoor beehive successfully. So we hope to, I have his contact information. I forgot to bring it, but I'll send that to you. And he wants to see if we could collaborate on some issues. They have a lot of mosquito problems there. And we also have a wonderful lady that volunteers at the center, and she has now been promoted as head volunteer. She's going to be our ambassador for the center. She is brilliant and does a really great job learning about all the different things that we do with mosquito control in the center. And so she's working on getting a lot more volunteers there, because we need more people because of how busy we are. So that's a great sign. And Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Hanukkah, Happy everything. And see you guys next year.
Chair, I missed something.
I missed one thing in mine. Just reminding all the commissioners and Mr. Mazzata, you're joining us in January, that we're supposed to have recommendations for the auditor selection committee. So
I have been asking and no one has agreed.
If you know, I have two that have agreed, but if Commissioner LeBlanc, I know life has gotten busy, and I just want to put that in the back of everybody's mind. If you know anybody with a CPA background or accounting background, a finance background, that's willing to sit pro bono on the auditor selection committee, we said we were bringing that back in January. Okay, and that's it. And you had one comment?
Thank you. Last week I was invited to join WHO, GDR, that concert meeting. So they give our job is mosquito control, part of work on global world mosquito guideline, for mosquito control guideline. We will help world develop WHO.
The World
Right.
Health
Organization.
We're going to help them develop.
Help them develop the guideline, yeah. for
Oh,
world.
that's awesome.
Also, the good thing, next Thursday, you all invited to join the party,
Okay.
the lunch. So we'll be here. You can bring your favorite dishes to share. We'll hopefully have some kind of international food. That's different than us coming from.
I'm bringing
Thank you,
drinks
yeah.
out.
Okay, that's good. Yeah.
Well, thank you, everybody. Merry
Thank you.
Christmas, Happy New Year, and Happy Hanukkah, and every other Festivus.